In the arms of Survivor, fly away from here. Y'all, this is a really momentous day.
Why was that actually kind of good?
As we record our recap of episode 4 of Survivor 47, mark this day in history. I have officially beaten Maddie in a draft. Mark this day. It is a special day. And as we say, Genevieve supremacy.
That little weasel.
Everybody, welcome back to the Making Fire podcast. This is a podcast where two longtime besties talk about their favorite TV show, Survivor. This week, we are recapping episode 4 of Survivor 47, a juicy episode in my opinion. It's about to get good. Before we get into the deets of this, Maddie, may I ask you, how are you?
Okay, well, my God, this is an episode for me for sure of, oh my God, I'm so upset about it. But it's okay, we'll get there. I sort of wanted to continue our fruit conversation from last episode, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
I have been beyond addicted to little clementines, sort of, as of late. Nothing makes me happier than a clementine. I actually regret not adding it. Oh my, do you have somewhere to be?
So, my laundry did just in fact finish, so if we could wrap this up soon, that'd be great.
Awesome. Anyways, maybe I would include clementines into my top 5, because when a clementine is good, I actually don't know if there's a better fruit, but when they're bad, they're so bad. And we're sort of entering clementine season. I got a bag at the grocery store, and they are hit after hit after hit.
Good.
I love that I can just throw them in my bag for lunch. No, basically no mess. Peeling is so easy and honestly fun. It's a little activity. And then everything smells like oranges, which is not a bad thing.
So true.
And they're just so delicious. So I think I'm going to, as I usually do, continue to basically eat them nonstop until I get a bad one, and then I'm sort of going to leave that alone for about 7 months, probably.
I like how strict that 7 months is.
Well, you know, just until I'm not disgusted anymore.
Right.
So, anyways, that's how I am. Feeling, orange zest for life, if you will.
I don't get it.
How are you?
I'm doing really good, thank you for asking. Maddie's just taking L after L this episode, you guys.
God. But you know what? Cut.
No!
I'm kidding. Me when Riley doesn't laugh at my jokes. Cut.
No, it was just too see, I know the audience are laughing, so I wanted to give them space to laugh at the joke.
Oh, okay.
It's sort of
this is sort of like a Dora moment.
Yes.
Yeah.
Great. How am I doing? Well, I'm just going to talk about my favorite things since Maddie talked about her favorite things. A quick run down the list. I am obsessed. Okay, so so what is Marshall's / Home Goods / Ross Dress for Less good for? Snacks. The problem is once you get a snack from there, it will never come back. And so you better just enjoy it while it lasts. I sort of got a giant bag of these little these have already been my favorite snacks, but I didn't know they made bags this big. This is like literally the size of my face. So good. I've been snacking on those. Other favorite things we might talk about. I just House of Villains season 2 premiered last night.
What is that?
It's a show on E! Network.
Period.
My hobbies include cuticle care and E! Network. Sorry, I had to sort of pull that quote out from my brain. I started that last night. I didn't watch season 1, but some of my favorite House of Villains, they take a bunch of reality TV villains and put them in a house together, and it's sort of like a strategic show. There's some voting that takes place, blah blah blah. But there's some villains that I am familiar with on this season, specifically Tiffany New York Pollard, who was on season 1, invited back for season 2. Candy Muse from RuPaul's Drag Race. We have Richard Hatch from Survivor, Jesse from Big Brother, Wes from The Challenge, and everybody else that I'm not familiar with seems to be really cool, exciting. And so I watched the first episode of that. That was really exciting, a fun little. There's going to be strategy, it seems, but hopefully not as serious as Survivor and Big Brother, so that should be fun. Drag Race Philippines Season 3 just ended. And people are raving about it, and I think it is my sign to officially start the Drag Race Philippines franchise. So I watched the first episode of Season 1 and Season 2 yesterday. It was so good. I'm going to keep watching that. I will keep you guys updated since you're so curious. This is a Survivor podcast, but I know underlying we're here for Drag Race content. So that's super exciting. And other reality TV is just so good right now. Big Brother is ending this weekend, this Sunday. After a summer/fall full of fun, it is coming to an end. I could go on a 30-minute rant about Big Brother, but I'm going to choose not to.
You've got to get your laundry.
So true. But I'm excited for Big Brother to end. And you know what? Go into Survivor. This season of Survivor has been so fun. Let's talk about it, shall we?
Maybe, no.
Maddie's bitter Betty Boots. Maddie's never been a loser before.
Yeah, I'm sort of a sore loser.
For those of you. Oh yeah, that's what I meant. For those of who, you and who are very close words in the way that they sound.
And that's why you're going to grad school.
Exactly. I just bring a new look on life and a new look on academia that has never been thought about.
In your application, be like, have you guys ever thought about how these words are Groundbreaking discoveries.
Groundbreaking discoveries going on over here. What was I saying? Oh, for those of you who don't know, Maddie and I, at the beginning of the seasons that we cover, do a draft. Maddie and I have been picking winner picks, and sort of whoever's winner pick lasts the longest gets priority pick in the next season. Maddie has had
the last two.
I guess the last. Oh, this is our third season, isn't it? Yeah, so the last two. Maddie's had a 2-0 record, but her winner pick, Keyshawn, just got voted out. Keyshawn is gone. Oh my god, Keyshawn is gone. That is also a rhyme. Oh! Guys, get me in a PhD program right now. Get me while my brain is hot. Get me going.
Guys, it might cool down soon.
Guys, we gotta keep it going. Let's start this episode. So, we are coming back from Tribal. Asia was just voted out, and she Soul is mad. I don't think he's not necessarily mad about Asia leaving. He's more mad about the fact he was flipped on by Keyshawn and Teenie. Soul and Teenie have a moment, and Teenie admits to us as the audience was just like. They're like, I could not vote for Asia. There was no way. We had a bond, and I just could not write her name down. I feel like it's a little early in the game to sort of let feelings like that take a hold, specifically because Asia is not going to be on the jury.
Yeah.
Teenie
there's really no reason to.
Yeah, Teenie sort of saving her moment for Rob Has a Podcast. Teenie wants her own podcast on RHAP, so she was sort of locking that in with that relationship. But it was interesting. She tells us to that, and then she goes to Soul, and she's like, Soul, I'm sorry. I just had to be truthful to my word to Asia in that moment, and I knew where it was going, but blah, blah, blah. And Soul's like, I really don't care, TBH.
Yeah. He's like, it's a game.
Yeah.
No
Rome,
hard feelings.
No hard feelings. Rome is sure that if they go to Tribal again, it's going to be Soul going home. And at this moment of the early episode, I was like, this has to be foreshadowing. Like, Rome is going home this episode. This has to be the case. And for a little bit, it was looking like that. So, but we'll get there down the line. But I for sure was like, this is some crazy foreshadowing happening right here. We have our little intro moment, and we come back to the Gada tribe, and Sam is rapping, and I said, "Okay, white boy, go off." And he talks about how his freestyle rap game is similar to the way he plays Survivor, sort of just like going along. He said, "That's my right there." Did you see that she shaved her head?
No. I'm not surprised though.
She shaved her head, and then the comments were apparently people are familiar. I don't know her name, but
I
for
don't
the
know.
people are like the good. Anyway,
Can you do the whole bit
I don't know the beginning. It's
about pumpkin spice?
white girls like pumpkin spice, and that's just not for me. You know, I really is it like a mocha? Is that what she says?
I think so.
And
Or
she's
no, I
like,
think it's a frappuccino.
she says, "Oh, I love a frappuccino. That's my shit right there." If you know the
Truly
video,
one of
you
the
know the video.
cringiest things I've ever seen.
That's
on the
nice shit right
internet.
there. Apparently, she shaved her head, and then the comments were like, "Girl, we missed a couple chapters. Why did you shave your head?" And she said, "Oh, my husband said that I wouldn't do it, so then I did it."
She's real
So
for that.
that's what she's doing. Sam is sort of flowing through the game, and he talks about his relationship with Sierra and how that is like an important relationship. And we sort of jump over to Sierra, and she's also having the same sentiment. She's thinking she really loves this working relationship with Sam, but she is aware now how she's being perceived in this game, and she cannot let herself, and I think this is really smart, sort of her being a woman and Sam being a man, for her to be like, I cannot be attached to his game like this. Like, it's going to screw me later down the line.
Yeah.
And so she sort of buddies up with the girls again. And at this point of the episode, I was like, okay, Sierra's I feel like she's playing a good sort of middle ground at this point.
She joins the
And
breadwinners.
exactly, she does join the breadwinners with Rachel and Annika. What a fun, I feel like a fun alliance name.
I kind of like it, but I love how insecure it makes Andy and Sam.
That they're the breadwinners?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they're sort of not.
Included.
I think that really hit him where it hurts.
Yeah. And I think that's sort of the point. We don't really get
Which I
fun
love.
alliance names on Big Brother. I don't think we get fun alliance names on Survivor anymore like this.
No, because a lot of times I feel like the alliance names that sort of live on are like post-merge, and it's like their tribe name. You know what I mean?
What is it? The Red Four from
I don't
the
remember.
Roku's gonna go ahead and be a brand of TV.
Oh.
But the way that Survivor has been sort of naming these tribes as of recent seasons, I don't think that is a crazy.
Reba.
That was still crazy because they were the Red Tribe.
Yes, I
Yeah.
love that's how you were like, oh, crazy tribe names, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh, Reba being the Red Tribe
Reba being the Red
was
Tribe.
crazy.
It was crazy. So that's silly fun. Breadwinners, what a fun name. I think of Breadwinners. I think of the Black Widow Brigade. We just don't get them. We don't get them like we used to. But we'll fill this out later. We go over to the Blue Tribe, which is named. Let me see if I can remember. The
Starts
Gata
with a
tribe.
T.
The Tuku tribe. And the Tukus, I don't feel like we've been getting a lot because they haven't gone to tribal since. I guess it was the
Episode
second
2.
episode, so it hasn't been that long. But
Yeah.
the Tuku tribe we go over, and Sue is crying. She's a bit emotional. Sort of about being away from her family. She misses them. It's just a hard moment. And you know what? They're 8 days in at this point. I can understand. No contact with your family for 8 days can be difficult.
I would also want to cry being on an island outside with strangers.
Yeah. Kyle and Gabe are trying to cheer her up. They're like, oh my gosh, like your grandson's gonna see you on the TV, and they're gonna be like, oh my god, that's my grandma.
Yeah, and like, what a cool grandma.
We do sort of find out here, and I'd love to know your opinion on this. Sue is lying about her age.
Oh, yeah.
Sue is going to go ahead and be 58 years old, and she is telling her tribe that she is 45.
Yeah, I would say she looks a little bit older than 45.
I would also agree that she doesn't necessarily look 45 to me.
I would say like maybe 51.
Like, I'm looking at Sue. My mom just turned 50 this year. This April, she turned 50. And I'm like, you...
You definitely look older.
older than my mom.
Yeah.
And I think that's a crazy thing. Sue says it's not crazy for someone to, a grandmother at 45. I don't think that, like, in this day and age, I don't know if that's completely insane. Like that, I don't think that's the part that I'm like, wow about. But like, I feel like she could at least say she's 50. That's still an 8-year
Even hit him with a
difference.
49.
A 49. Yes, because I would agree. Like, I think over the 50 range is where, like, that defeats the purpose of lying about your age. Because I think
Yeah.
50 is still going to have a connotation of you're the older person. 45, I think, is a good, like, okay, you can connect with the young people, but you're older. But
Yeah.
I feel like looks a tad older than 45.
I would have to agree. Sorry, Sue.
But that's not. Aging is beautiful.
Aging is beautiful, and I just don't think I would lie about it when I don't know how believable it is. I feel like it's worse to lie
I mean,
and then just think that you could look that old when unfortunately you don't look that young.
we didn't really get anybody sort of anybody calling it out,
Yeah.
which I feel like could have been that definitely I feel like could have been a talking point at some point
Yeah, maybe not a lot of critical thinking skills are being used.
on the Tuku tribe.
No.
Yeah. Sue, I wrote Sue kind. I wrote Sue kind of the beware advantage. I think wants is missing in there. Sue kind of wants the beware advantage, and so we get
kind of the beware advantage.
I mean, she kind of the beware advantage. She's running around looking for it, and OMG, guess what, Maddie?
Oh my god, what?
She finds it. Ah! She finds it. Crazy, girl. Where did you find that from? It's gonna go ahead and be in a tree.
Right.
The tree's gonna lead her to another tree, where there's a rope, and she has to untie the rope. And she's like, oh my gosh, now that I see the rope, it's so clear. She, I guess, has no instinct to sort of follow where the rope leads and just kind of unties the rope and lets it go. And the camera then pans back. She's untying it, lets go of the rope, and then a pot full of red paint falls and hits the ground. And I went,
It goes
oh,
everywhere.
literally everywhere. I went, oh my god. Very reminiscent of the time that I was making butter chicken and went ahead and dropped the butter chicken and it went all over. So here's what happened. Quick rundown. I was making butter chicken in the microwave, like a Trader Joe's butter chicken. So we're like not authentic butter chicken. And it was really hot. And actually I was watching Survivor. This happened last season. And I was holding it like this, and part of it sort of slipped from the hot pad that I was holding, and it started burning my hand, and I proceeded to go, oh my god. I went ahead and dropped it, and it hit the ground with such force that not only did it sort of splatter out, is when it went ahead and sort of projectiled up onto the ceiling, and sort of on the walls, and literally anywhere you could imagine. And it took me forever to clean up, and I didn't even clean it up all the way. Sort of days following that event, we were finding butter chicken on the walls in places that I couldn't even imagine it got there.
Wow. Thank you for being brave and sharing your story.
So imagine that, but the butter chicken is a pot full of red paint.
Yeah.
And I'm in the middle of the forest.
Yeah.
And instead of walls, it's going to go ahead and have hit every single tree.
Yeah.
And I literally was like, I cannot believe Survivor screwed her over like that. That is an insane way to set her up.
Truly insane. I cannot believe that happened.
What would you have done if you were in Sue's situation?
I would have tried to bury everything, maybe in the sand, just sort of over itself. Try to avoid getting it on you, especially when you don't have a mirror to sort of check out your face or like your body. And I think I sort of would have immediately gotten in the water just to be totally sure.
I think what would have been really camp is if Sue had just left it. Taken the advantage, and then so instead of burying it like you suggested, kind of just leaving it there, taking the advantage, and then doing the next step, sort of like going in the water, washing everything off, since she doesn't have a mirror, but then just leaving the mess there. Because like what? And then they're like Sue, or they're like, oh my god, what happened? Sue could be like, I don't know. I don't know.
Do you think she's a good liar?
Well, she's lying about her age and nobody is.
I would. Okay, I'm gonna ask again. Do you think she's a good liar?
I don't know. Maybe.
I would
okay.
say she, in the following scenes where people are sort of questioning where the blood is coming from, I think she actually did not play that off very well.
Okay, but nobody, like, so what? Let's say Caroline and Tiana are walking back, and they see the pot and no Sue. And then Sue's sort of at camp, freshly washed off, and they're like, what happened? And Sue's like, what happened where?
I just don't see that working out.
Okay, I'm sorry that I'm trying to play devil's advocate and trying to assume that Sue could get away with the lie of the century.
With murder.
Is that what your little show's about?
Oh, yeah.
Is this a scene
Only
from your little
murders
show?
in the building.
Yeah. Well, let's get into the following scene. Sue takes a minute and cleans everything up. She sort of takes up all the broken pieces of the pot, the shattered clay, and throws it into the woods. She's kicking around the dirt. It's all over the the well. She's washing her hands off and she's trying to scrub everything. She sort of doesn't realize that she has it on her face a little bit and a little in her hair, because how could she? She doesn't have a mirror.
It's sort of, but it's like really light, so on her jaw,
It's not
really
the bright,
looks like blood.
It's not the bright red paint. Like, it's definitely watered down, or like she like in a like something.
Yeah.
And so Tiana and Caroline walk up on her.
Her hands.
Her hands have red on it, and she's kind of like, they're kind of like, what's going on, Sue?
Are you okay?
Like, you're bleeding. And Sue's like, yeah, it's just a little cut.
I cut myself with the machete.
And she
The
goes,
machete also.
And then she goes, I was playing with the machete and cut myself. It's okay. And they're like, no, like, you should definitely, like, see somebody if you're bleeding. And then she's like, no, it's okay. Don't worry about it. And then they're like, well, what?
Machete sitting there. What looks like a bloody machete.
And then they're like, where's the cut? And she's like, oh, I didn't cut myself. Sorry. Like, I didn't cut like, there's no cut, but like, I'm bleeding. Like, it's okay.
She said literally no worries.
Mind you, she's not moving from where she's standing. She's fully just like propping
sort of hiding
herself.
behind the well.
Hiding behind the well. And they're like, okay. And then she's like, I just have to finish cleaning myself up if you guys don't mind.
Love.
And she's like, okay, well, we're just gonna keep walking. And then we hear Tiana, and she's like, well, we just have to keep an eye on Sue.
Yeah.
Just a little bit of an eye on Sue. We make our way back over to the Lavo tribe, and Sol and Rome are sort of looking for the idol at the same time. And Rome realizes this and basically starts disciplining Sol.
Okay. Rome's behavior towards Sol the entire episode was beyond insane.
I think, okay.
Start to finish.
I think
great
it's
TV though.
So good.
But if
like,
I were Sol, I would be losing my mind. I would be like physically in pain inside trying to
if I was Rome, if I was Sol, I probably would have snapped on Rome at some point. But as a TV viewer, I am eating it up out of the palm of my hand.
You are making me want to be physically violent with you.
But I'm like, this is so.
Oh, I loved watching it.
I'm having so much fun watching Rome. Like,
yeah.
I'm like, keep him in the game low key because I need to see him like
continue this.
Yes,
messiness.
Continue this. I love a little bit of mess. And he's starting to Rome is starting to discipline Sol, and Rome's like, Sol, you're on the bottom of the tribe. Like, this doesn't make us want to keep you around if you're like looking for idols and stuff. And it's just like, Rome, don't be messy. Like you were not also looking for idols and blah, 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 blah. Rome goes back to camp, and Keyshawn is sort of stirring the pot a little bit. And they're all back at camp, and Sol gets up to walk away again, and Rome's like, there he goes, looking for an idol. And Keyshawn goes, go after him.
Keyshawn was the pot stir also the entire episode.
It was so juicy. It was so good.
Yeah.
Like, I love Keyshawn. That is a messy man. That is a messy man.
I know.
He said, He said, "Go with him." That was messy.
He's really good at egging on Rome for sure.
And it was good because at that point nobody was realizing it.
Yeah.
And so Keyshawn sort of stirs the pot a little bit, and we get what would you call, not a segment, but like a montage, thank you, of Rome falling around Soul. And at one point Soul is like, "Can I please just have a moment alone?
Can I just go to the beach alone?"
And Rome says, "No, this is Survivor. I don't have to leave you alone. I don't have to leave you alone."
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I get. Like, technically, are you right? Yes.
Yes.
Technically.
Wasn't it Teeny then who's like, just give him a minute.
Just let him breathe for a second.
Yeah, let that man breathe.
Let that man breathe. Like, he's clearly not looking for anything at the moment. And it was just so, like, okay, I can understand how stressful that is for everybody at that camp, but as a viewer, I do have to say how funny it was.
It was so entertaining.
So entertaining. So spectacle.
So spectacle.
So spectacle. It was too good. I was eating it up. And we get, Soul is on the beach alone, and Genevieve and him sort of talk a little bit, and, Soul is wanting to sort of confide in her and is like, I'll work, like, Genevieve's like, I'll work, like, this isn't over for you. Like, don't think that just because people are acting this way around camp that it's 100% over for you. And Soul is like, okay, I'll take that for as much as I can.
Mm-hmm.
Genevieve and Teeny are having a sort of realization that they don't necessarily want to connect themselves with Rome in the long term if this is how Rome is going to act. They don't want that sort of not negativity,
that behavior.
The behavior, yes. Yeah. And I wouldn't say it's like negative behavior, but I just think it's like a messiness that you don't want following you around to the game.
And like, I think it's so different in this pre-merge, pre-mixing things up where it's like kind of contained. But like that in a bigger audience, might cause a bit more of a problem for anyone that works with him.
So it'll be interesting. I mean, spoiler alert, Rome does not go home this episode. So it'll be interesting seeing what these long-term sort of effects are. Maybe Genevieve can have a little bit more control over Rome. We'll see. We'll talk about it later. We go over to the Gauda tribe yet again. Mm-hmm. And they're all sort of sitting in their camp. And somebody goes, "Whose shot in the dark is this?"
That's going to go ahead and be AI Andy.
It's going to go ahead and be AI Andy's shot in the dark. And everybody, I love that was the first, I think it was Rachel, somebody, or maybe Sierra, was like, "Go ahead and check Andy's bag first and make sure that that's not Andy's." It sounds like this is not the first time this has happened.
Yeah.
Which
he's interesting.
I want to know what his like house looks like.
I actually don't think I do.
Okay. Andy, invite me over.
He doesn't have a house because
he lives in a computer.
Right.
So, it's just a silly moment. They realize that it definitely is Andy's, but instead of sort of putting it back in his bag, they go ahead and leave it in the dirt under the which makes me think it was maybe in his pocket at one point, like, or he was playing with it. And I'm like, I don't, like, why would you, why? I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean,
like
sometimes people just need a fidget. Like, this is going to go ahead and be my fidget this episode.
This is going to go ahead and be mine.
So, sometimes people just need to play with something, but maybe not your shot in the dark.
I love that. At the same time, we
already had it in our hands,
yeah.
ready to
But I
show
think
off.
I wouldn't, if this is like an item that I would maybe feel like I needed at some point, to like maybe, keep you in a game to win $1 million. I think that I would maybe find a different fidget toy.
Yeah, like a piece of bamboo.
A stick, yeah. Or some rocks.
Yeah, right.
Like just sort of play with the sand. I don't know. Build a sand castle.
Okay, Beyonce. You know that.
Thank you, Beyonce. Just want to get that out there.
Moving on, so Sam sort of goes up to Andy and is like, go pick up your shot in the dark. And we have a moment, and they go back to camp, and we're yet
Sam's
again.
Like, can you stop embarrassing me? Go pick up your shot.
Literally, Sam is literally like, Dad, being like, go pick up.
Go pick it up. Your toy is out. Go put it away.
Go put it away. And Sam, we get another, we are reiterated yet again that Sam trusts Andy and is committed to this relationship with Andy. And obviously, like his relationship with Sierra is important, but he is really putting in a lot of work with this relationship with Andy. Then we cut to Sierra, the other half of this duo. And again, we were sort of, the storyline at the beginning of the episode is Sierra's trying to distance herself from Andy and Sam a little bit.
Yeah.
And Andy goes back to camp, picks up his shot in the dark, and then he sort of walks away with Sierra, and they're having a conversation. And Andy's like, you will not believe what happened, Sierra. I dropped it again. It was at camp. And Sierra's like, you're so silly, Andy. So silly, Andy. And then Sierra starts talking about the girls a little bit. And Andy asks, and Sierra tells, and Sierra's like, yeah, like, they think it's pretty serious. Like, we're in an alliance right now called the Breadwinners. Girl.
Why would, out of all people, why would you give any unnecessary information to Andy? Because I feel like he already trusts you. Like, you are giving him information that you in no way needed to give him. If you give a mouse a cookie.
If you give him us a cookie, he'll ask you what cologne you're wearing.
Yeah.
And he'll go buy that cologne and wear it.
Yeah.
I'm like...
And then you'll smell like AI Andy.
And then you'll smell like AI Andy. Over under, are AI Andy and Sierra still friends?
I'm gonna... You know what?
You think they still talk?
I'm gonna say yes.
Yeah. So, Sierra tells Andy about Breadwinners, and I was like, "Why would you do that?" I agree with your thoughts. Like, Andy did not need you to prove your relationship like that. If anything, I would say Andy is the one that has to consistently prove to you that he's not like a flake. And Andy then takes that and goes up to Sam, who's at camp, and says, "I'm telling you this because I'm sure she's already told you." Damn it!
Speaking of little weasels.
Andy says, "I'm just telling you because I'm sure you already know, but Sierra and I had a great conversation where she told me about the Breadwinners." Sam says, "The what?" "The who?" "What's the Breadwinners?" And Andy's like, "It's a relationship with the girls."
Yeah.
And then Sam basically confronts Sierra and is like, "Why didn't you tell me about this alliance? I thought we were supposed to be close number ones."
Yeah.
And Sierra's like, "It's not an alliance. It's just three people who are working together, possibly." Like, we're not an alliance. We just, like, are possibly going to work together.
We're not. We're not.
Like, I don't know what you think this is, but it's not an alliance.
It's not like that.
It's not like that. It's Sam. It's not like that. That is the energy. And I just keep, I'm just like, this is a really messy cast.
There is messiness truly on every single tribe. And I think it's really interesting. We talked about this a bit last episode, how like everyone has gone to tribal. I feel like it's pretty even. Like all of it seems to be pretty even. Like they all are messy. They all have these issues.
There's cracks in all the tribes.
Yes.
And I'm excited for when they get switched up.
Oh my god.
It's going to be even, like,
if we keep AI
good.
Andy and Rome around.
Rome and AI Andy together is going to go crazy.
Oh, I feel like they're either going to be beyond enemies or they're going to be obsessed with each other.
I hope they're obsessed with each other. I hope they're like, we have to work together.
We have to work together.
We'll see. Right. We go into the reward / immunity challenge. What are they playing for? trigger warning from Maddie. This might be a little on the nose for today. They're gonna go ahead and play.
Chickens.
They're gonna go ahead and play for chickens and eggs.
Yeah.
Not me about to go into all of your work drama. I fully was about to go in on it, but I was gonna say no. That's not. You know what? That's not my business.
No, it's not your business.
So.
Stay out of my business.
And I'm going to. So they're playing for chickens and eggs, which is so exciting. The first tribe gets 3 chicken-laying hens, and the second tribe is going to go ahead and get 6 eggs laid by said chickens.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know anything about chickens?
No, except they're really dumb. And they sort of want to kill each other.
I have a tattoo of a chicken. Fun fact, everybody.
And is it a rooster, though?
No, mine's a chicken.
Oh. I really like your chicken tattoo. It doesn't look like a
you.
normal, just like dumb chicken.
Right, it looks like a very smart, gonna get into grad school, gonna get a PhD chicken.
No, I would say, no, I actually do think your chicken tattoo is cool. And I think, but like,
That was
you
my
know
first
what I mean?
tattoo.
It's not like one of those like white, round, like farm style chicken.
Yeah, it's like I would say it's sort of like a geometrical chicken.
Yeah.
Is how I would describe it.
Yeah. What came first, the chicken or the egg?
Exactly, and that's a fun fact, everybody. My dad has the egg and I have the chicken.
Mm-hmm.
Because what came first, nobody knows.
No, nobody knows.
Literally nobody knows. Do you know what came first, the chicken or the egg? Right.
I would maybe say the chicken.
Well, where'd it come from?
Well, because like evolution. Well, I guess maybe the egg then. But like, I don't know. You can keep going.
We'll start a new podcast, you guys, where the whole sort of the plot line of the podcast is us answering the age-old question.
You know
what came
what?
first?
I would love to start a podcast where we just talk about random things we learned that week. Not to sidetrack for a second, got way too into the meteor that killed the dinosaurs.
This week specifically. I wonder if there was something that I learned this week. I have been to all of our Floridian listeners. I'm so sorry about the back-to-back hurricanes you've received. I got really into sort of hurricane prep and Hurricane Milton specifically. Because then I was sort of thinking about Maddie and I both grew up in the Pacific Northwest, thinking about the big one.
Yeah.
And I think that. Oh, now we're getting sidetracked. We'll hold this conversation till after. But back to Survivor. Y'all, I have to be better. I'm being better. Y'all ain't being better.
It's okay.
No.
I was the one that.
That's true. And you knew the risk was.
The
you knew the risk of getting me sidetracked.
And it was a risk I was willing to take.
Exactly. We are doing this challenge, and it's a pretty simple sort of Survivor challenge. You have to roll a heavy metal cube, untie some bags, and ultimately it leads into a brand new Survivor fire puzzle.
Loved the emphasis on that.
Loved that.
So you little freaks at home couldn't have
Carson.
mimicked it beforehand. Carson.
I know.
Yeah.
Do you know what the drama that happened with Carson and puzzle making?
Yes.
Okay. We talked about this.
I feel like we talked about it.
On the pod?
Yeah. How he was
probably. I think it did happen
ripping off.
Yeah.
Small business, basically. Yeah.
So Carson, he's not on this season. No, he's. Oh God.
Okay, but Andy and Carson.
End the podcast. We got to start over. That was my breaking point. The new puzzle, so exciting. It was kind of I think the exciting thing about this challenge is that it was so close up until the end. It was like they were completing the exact same parts at the exact same times. It was like, who is going to take this? Who's going to take this? And that's always crazy going into the puzzle, because it's like anything can happen in the puzzle. And ultimately, that's what we saw. Was anything can happen in the puzzle. I think I can't think of a moment in Survivor history where this has happened. Jeff did say it was a rare thing, so I'm assuming it's happened before. But ultimately, the Lavo tribe, our friends on the Red tribe, were not able to get a single piece put on their puzzle in the amount of time it took both of the other tribes to complete their puzzle. Not one single piece.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought that was really interesting how Rome and Genevieve really navigated that challenge in maybe a way that I thought was sort of interesting.
For those who, you want to explain it for those who didn't watch the episode?
Yeah, so it was a flame, and all the pieces were sort of like, odd shapes, because that's kind of a survivor puzzle and how they do it. One thing that I thought was really interesting was sort of how Rome was approaching trying to put in the puzzle pieces. He was sort of going at it from a side angle, where that's actually not going to work, because you have to kind of make it flat. And that was a 10 out of 10 tough watch on their part. And Rome sort of sitting there and twisting each piece while Genevieve sort of just was like, yeah. And sort of making this stack of puzzle pieces behind them of every single one that they've tried.
Oh my god, I didn't even... Hey, from down here, everybody. Sorry, keep going.
No, it was just like, wow. The single brain cell that they used between them to manage that one.
Okay, not too much on my girl Genevieve. Not too much.
I'm sorry, I'm feeling a little bit bitter about Genevieve at the moment.
Trust I believe she was saving her brain cell for later. She was saving it. I thought it was interesting that Rome sort of just sat down the whole time and didn't once pick up a puzzle piece himself. And I'm interesting because, and I'm so many thoughts. Asia and Keyshawn were sort of the two that have been doing the puzzles in the past. They went ahead and voted Asia out last episode. And so I'm wondering why Keyshawn still chose to not. I feel like maybe Keyshawn and Genevieve, or Rome and Keyshawn. I think Keyshawn in there may have been like a good option.
It kind of felt like, I don't even think Keyshawn was an option. Like, Rome wanted to do it. Rome feels like Rome can do anything.
So true.
And then I think maybe this is where Genevieve thought she could participate a bit more.
It was just interesting, the whole dynamic between the two of them, the duo. Because it's like, you think that their chemistry, like they've been working together sort of as a duo up until this point. You think it would sort of worked a little bit better, but
yeah.
My favorite thing that kept getting my ass was Soul. Every single time Rome would try to put it in a piece, Soul would go, "That's not gonna work, Rome. That's not it, Rome. That's not the piece, Rome." Every single time, and he kept being like. And Rome was like, "Let's switch out." Or somebody was like, "Let's switch it up," or something. And nobody moved. And it was just like awkward. Like, no chemistry whatsoever.
No.
I think you can really tell. I think that tribe, more than the other two, had the most tension, obviously, going into this challenge. And I think that's a really big thing.
Yeah.
Like, there's very clear cracks on that tribe. And the dynamic is all off now. And I think that really affects tribal performance.
Yeah. And I also think that it doesn't feel like anyone is really trying to rein Rome in. Like, they're all kind of just letting Rome roam. And
you ate that.
Thank you. And yeah. So anytime Rome wants to put himself in a situation like this, it kind of feels like they just let him do it, even though this put them at risk and ended up making them go to tribal.
I think part of that, specifically last episode, I think it made more sense because Rome had all these advantages, but now all he really has is a steal a vote. And as we see when they're talking about what the next steps are, like, they could have easily planned around the steal a vote. I think more easily had Teeny not lost her vote.
Oh my god.
But
really, just everyone sort of failed Keyshawn. It was sort of a group effort.
I would make sure that he is included in that. Like, I think he did also sort of screw himself over. I know. Yeah, right. Not too much of my girl Genevieve. Not too much of my... That's my winner pick. That's my... And with that, thank you for coming to my show. Thank you and goodbye, everybody. I have been waiting to say that quote. That's from Maddie and I love stealing quotes from other podcasts. Mm-hmm. And I've been waiting to I've stolen that one from a podcast that stole it from Tyra Banks, and I've been stole it from Wendy Williams specifically. And so I've been waiting to
clap if you care.
All right, moving on. So yeah, it was an interesting dynamic. Rome and Genevieve flopped that very heavily, and it was kind of shocking. we cut before we get into the game talk for the Lava tribe. We cut back to the Gata tribe, who were the first place finishers, and we sort of see the chicken discourse. I think this happens every time there's chickens on the show. That's like, what are we gonna do with the chickens? I think not Soul. God damn it, it's the 3-letter S names. Sam would really like to eat the chicken. He would really love to sort of eat one of the chickens right now.
Yeah.
Sierra is definitely on the lower. She's like, we are not eating the chickens. I raised chickens. And I think Rachel is also kind of in the middle of it all. Like, she's like, I don't really want to eat the chickens. We kind of want to save them to produce eggs. But Sam, being a boy, the hungry boy, he just wants to eat the protein of the chicken.
Yeah.
And that's sort of where the conversation ends. One of the chickens, okay, also thought it was shady. One of the escapes from the cage that the survivor gave them in. Yeah. I'm like, how does that make sense? Survivor, you could have given them just like a metal cage or something.
Or like just a few more bars on it. Or like
that was,
things to make sure that the chickens can't
like,
get out.
And if the chicken had run away, that would piss me off. I would have been like, Survivor,
you gotta like in the night.
I would be like, Survivor, you have to replace your chicken because you give us a faulty fucking cage.
You wake up, there's no chickens.
There's no chickens.
Sam ate them. Sam goes, where did the chickens go?
He has like a feather sticking out of his mouth. He's like, oh my god.
He's got blood on his hands.
He's very reminiscent of Sue. Guys, where are the chickens, you guys? This is really freaking me out. Where are the chickens? I don't even. Anyway, we cut back to the Lava tribe, and there's a lot sort of going on at first. Keyshawn and Rome are sitting together, and
are we gonna talk about who went on the journey?
Oh, okay. For some reason, I was watching the episode. I must have like got distracted for a second. I totally missed that the journey was going on until I realized at this point Teeny wasn't at camp, and I was like, "Where's Teeny?" And then it was brought up that Teeny was going on a journey. Maybe if you want to explain sort of who picked and what, because I couldn't tell you who was picked.
So Gata got to pick who was going, and they sent Andy. Which I thought that was an interesting choice.
I also thought that was an interesting choice.
And then they chose Teeny and Caroline.
From the other, Gata chose those people. Okay.
Oh, and I was thinking, do they actually know the other people's names?
I think they do. Maybe.
Because I would be like, Scarecrow Pants and Blonde. Blonde and not old.
Blonde and not middle age, because you're giving us about 45.
Blonde under 50.
You have them on a lineup. I'll take Scarecrow Pants, and I'll take Blonde, young. So that was fun. We'll get there. Okay, so then we'll get in the journey in a second, because we start at the Red Tribe and then we cut to the journey.
Yeah.
But thank you for doing that, because I didn't even realize that a journey was happening. So I'm a great note taker, y'all. We start. We go to the Lava Tribe, and Rome and Keyshawn are sitting together, and Rome wants to persuade Soul to vote with them, and Rome comes to this conclusion that if he goes up to Soul and says, you either vote with us and I'll let you keep your vote, or you don't vote with us and I'll steal your vote, and you either vote with us, either way.
I thought it was, you give me your shot in the dark.
Oh yes, that's what it was, sorry. Give me your shot in the dark, and you get to keep your vote. Yeah. Don't give me your shot in the dark and I'll steal your vote. Yeah. So that's sort of what the vibe was.
And Keyshawn sort of goes, yeah, do it.
That sounds great. Sort of keep moving forward with that plan.
That sounds like a great plan. I actually love the idea of threatening. I love the idea
Soul.
of you threatening
Soul. And then Keyshawn basically goes, you know what would be even better is if we tell Soul to vote Genevieve. So then he is even more confident that the vote is not going to be on him, and thinks that we're sort of coming up with this plan to vote Genevieve. And Rome goes, yes. Yes. It's just two dumb girls sitting together going exactly. And so they came up with this plan together. Props to them. And Rome then goes up to Seoul. And basically, I would say threatened, but actually it was an ultimatum. It wasn't a threat, it was an ultimatum.
Which, I want to know, what do you think the difference is in this situation between an ultimatum and a threat?
I just like, Rome is such good TV. Like that, to hear a conversation like that in the year 2024 on my television is insane.
It's not a threat, it's an ultimatum.
That is great. That is great reality TV. Rome.
Like, how dare you accuse me of threatening you?
I gave you an ultimatum. I gave you an ultimatum. Not only has Rome secured his spot on Survivor 50, he also secured his spot on House of Villains season 4 or season 3.
Yeah.
Throw him in Traitors too.
Oh my god, Rome on the Traitors will be crazy.
I'm obsessed with Rome. I just need him on my TV in every context. I'm sorry, he is so messy in the best way. Mm-hmm. So Rome sits down with Seoul and is like, basically the plan we just talked about. Either you vote, give me your shot in the dark, and I'll let you keep your vote, or don't give me your shot in the dark, and I'm going to steal your vote from you.
And you're going to go home.
And you're going to go home. And Seoul says, I'm so sorry, but I'm not letting you take my shot in the dark.
Yeah.
And he says, okay, then your fate is sealed. Here we go. Period. And Rome sort of moves forward with that. And I'm kind of sad we didn't get more confessionals from him the first 2 episodes, because he is funny.
He's really funny.
Seoul goes, I've never let somebody, let alone somebody of Rome's stature, talk to me that way.
Okay, I don't remember where did I see that? Oh, I think just on the episode, the other people in the tribe were talking about like letting the 2 people with the biggest egos go head to head, talking about Seoul and Rome. But like, I didn't necessarily get the vibe that Seoul has like this big ego. It was more just like, I'm not going to let Rome talk to me like that and let it affect me.
Yeah, I also don't get the energy that Seoul has a huge ego. I think it's more that Seoul knows what he wants as a player.
He's not
but
I wouldn't say
that's very. Yeah, he doesn't want to be bossed around. I would say Rome has a larger ego, and he's sort of proven that in the sense that he sort of likes to do everything, and he feels like he's best at everything.
Yeah.
I feel like that is a much more egotistical approach.
And he's sort of just picking fights with Seoul.
Yeah.
And I think Seoul's more just defending himself.
And it was and let's just jump to the journey here. Andy, Caroline, and Teeny are there, and they're sort of talking about their tribes. Caroline is like, it was a total boys club, blah, blah, blah. Andy was like, I'm on the bottom, blah, blah, blah. And then Teeny is like, it's going crazy over there. It's either going to be Rome or Seoul for sure leaving tonight. And I think this is what you were referencing, as that Teeny goes, it's just the machismo is so high, like it's a battle of egos, and they're like battling it head to head, Rome and Seoul. And I'm like, the way that Teeny was sort of proposing this is that it's Seoul versus Rome in the sense that these are 2 dominant people. And I'm like, Seoul has never been the dominant person on this tribe. Never. Him and Asia just happened to be against Rome. And that, like, and if we're thinking about it, Teeny and Keyshawn were also against Rome, and they only sided with Rome because he had advantages. So it's not like it. I
think they lucked out that it ended up just Rome having beef with Seoul this whole time. Like, they were sort of just able to capitalize on that last time.
And do I think Rome has a little bit of an ego? Yes. But do I think it's a battle of two men who are so manly, like, because that's what machismo is. It's like 2 men set in their dominant manly ways, and they're trying to.
I don't think that's how I would describe Rome.
I wouldn't describe Rome or like sort of the situation that's happening at all.
No.
So it's just interesting that that's sort of the lens that Teeny was describing it as, when I truly just feel like Rome is slightly power hungry and Seoul is at the bottom of their tribe. Like, it just.
I also think that this conversation happening right before what the whole journey thing ends up being kind of like digs Teeny into this hole.
I agree. To jump to that, this is sort of what they're presented as the three on the journey. One person of the three of them has to agree to lose their vote for all three of them to get an advantage. If nobody agrees, or like nobody agrees to be the one to lose their vote, or the time runs out, then all three of them lose their vote for their next tribals and they don't get the advantage. So it was sort of the discussion of who is going to lose their vote first, or who's going to lose their vote so they can all get something. And they were kind of like rushing Teeny. They were kind of rushing Teeny to make the decision, but then I looked at the hourglass.
Had a lot of time
left. So I was like, this is really interesting. AI Andy was quick to be the first one to say, I don't want to give up my vote. I'm at the bottom of my tribe and I will go home once we go to tribal next. And Carolyn was also kind of like, I also don't feel like I'm in a great position to lose my vote just because dynamics are always changing and who knows what's going to happen. And Teeny's like, I mean, I'm going to tribal right now in like 2 hours, so I would love to not lose my vote because I have like, what do I have to offer, you know? And Caroline and Andy just don't budge. They're like, well, we don't want to give it up, so it's kind of up to you.
Okay, I was thinking about this. I don't know if this is what I would actually end up doing if I was in this situation, but I would be really tempted to just like absolutely not budge and be like, I would rather lose my vote than be put in this situation with the idols and like having to either work together or like go to war at each other over this. Like, I think I would almost just be like, straight up, no, you cannot convince me to do it. Like, I don't even really want this for myself.
In the past life when I was sort of a international relations emphasis in my politics and government major, one thing we often talked about was game theory. This is very reminiscent of a game of chicken where it's sort of who would
Oh my god, chicken.
Exactly. It's just a reoccurring theme this episode.
Yeah.
Who would give up first? And if I were Teeny, I think so. Spoiler alert: Teeny ends up giving in and is the one, and she sort of her thing in her head was like, it's either like I lose my vote and I get something, or I lose my vote and I don't get something. Is how she was looking at the situation.
Yeah.
And I think Teeny was in the best position to be like, if I was Teeny, I'd be like, I know when I'm losing my vote next. It's going to be in 2 hours. Or like, that's the tribal where I'm going to, what am I trying to say? Teeny's like, Teeny is the only person who knows when she's going to get her vote back. Like Carolyn and Andy, like realistically, they could go all, and we've seen this happen a couple times where you end up going to merge without a vote. And so Teeny, I feel like, had more to wager, to be like, I don't want to give up my vote. Like I have more to lose.
Yeah.
And you guys don't really have anything to offer to the situation, so I'm not going to budge.
Yeah.
And so what's going to happen is I don't budge. We all three lose our vote, but I get my vote back in 3 hours and you guys are still without a vote and don't know when you're getting your votes back.
Yeah.
It's sort of how I would have been.
I know that now that I know that you don't have your vote going forward.
Yeah.
And like, I will know when you get it back.
Yeah.
That is such valuable information.
It is.
And also, like, Teeny knows that it's a very low likelihood that she's going to go home this week.
Yes.
I just think, I don't know. I would not have done it.
The argument that we're making for why Teeny should have kept her vote, I think, is this pretty much the same argument of why she ended up giving it away. Is that she knew that she had the social capital, and she knew that she was going to get her vote back, and it was worth it because she was going to get something in return and all these things. But I just, like, your vote is so valuable.
And I don't think you necessarily want what's being offered.
No. Okay, so now let's get into that. So Teeny ends up giving up her vote, and so the three of them are able to get this thing, which ends up being an amulet idol. This is different than past amulet idols. In the past, the amulet idol had no power until there was only one person left in the game. Now the amulet idol has power. It just there has to be consensus on who it's played for. So you can play it with all 3 people left in the game. You just all 3 have to agree on who it's going to be played on.
And then the same if there's 2.
Same if there's 2, and then ultimately if there's 1 person, then that person just has a regular idol.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit more leg room in what you can do with this now. But okay, so this happens. It's exciting. We go back to camps, and Andy and Carolyn right away tell their whole tribe about the amulet idol. So that's 10 people now that know about it.
Yeah.
Teeny goes back and tells Keyshawn and Genevieve. That's 3 people that know about it. 13 out of the 15 people left in the game know about this amulet idol.
Yep.
Why are we why have we not learned anything? Why are we telling people about advantages? 1. 2, like, that defeats it defeats the whole purpose.
Entire purpose.
So now, not only do you have a target on your back because 1, you have an advantage. 2, you kind of sort of have a built-in 3 voting block, or at least people that are working together, because you have to sort of work together if you want to use it earlier on in the merge, right? So it's like,
or it's now made you a target against whatever numbers are going to go into, like in future tribe swaps or merges. I would not want that.
I wouldn't want it either. So really, it's like at this point, and how is Teeny or AI Andy or Carolyn supposed to know that this is the advantage that would? I mean, I think you could maybe assume, but you know what they say about assuming. You could assume that that's what's gonna happen, but like I don't like.
I don't think
the payoff was not worth it. The payoff was not worth it, especially for Teeny. So now not only does she lost her vote, but she doesn't even have an advantage that she can. Excuse me, that she can use right away. So it's like, I don't know.
And I would love to see them come together to play their immunity idol.
I know. Do they all 3
one
stand?
Person?
Like, what happens? Do you come to the conclusion before tribal, or do they do like a live tribal moment? And Teeny's like, I have to play this idol on Rome, and the other 2 are like, okay, let's play it on Rome. LOL. Like, I don't.
But then, like, what's the point?
Like, how do you come to a consensus like that? Like, realistically, the 3 people are not. There is not going to be 1 person that they want to use that idol on.
No.
Because even if it's one of those 3, your odds of using it are better if 1 more person is gone.
Exactly.
Like, why would I want to play it on AI Andy if it now, instead of a 33% chance of it it's a 50% chance of it working?
Yeah.
I don't know if that's how the math works, but like, I don't whatever. I don't know if it was worth it for Teeny. I'm
gonna go ahead and say it wasn't worth it for Teeny.
Good.
That it's not worth it for Teeny in the long run.
Stand proud in your opinions.
Because now that Teeny ended up with no vote, and Teeny's closest ally sort of went home.
Right. We'll get there in a second. So we come back to the Red Tribe, and Teeny tells Keyshawn and Genevieve, like I said. So only 2 people left in the game don't know about this, and they sort of fan out a little bit. Genevieve and Rome, must we remember, are sort of a duo. The duos are on this tribe are Teeny and Keyshawn, and Rome and Genevieve. Genevieve is sitting at the camp, and Teeny and Keyshawn have left. This is after the 3 of them finding out about the idol. Rome happens upon Genevieve just sitting there, and they're talking about the vote. At this point, how the vote is looking is that they're going to blindside Rome. And Genevieve knows this. Everybody knows this except for Rome. Keyshawn and Genevieve came to the conclusion that they are going to tie the vote. It's going to be those 2, since Teeny lost her vote. It's going to be Keyshawn and Genevieve vote for Rome. Hopefully they can pull Soul in maybe, but if not, if Rome takes Soul's vote, then it'll be 2-2 Soul, Rome, and then on a revote, blah blah blah. Was sort of the plan to blindside Rome, because if they have to get Rome out now, and so that's
right
now, like, this is the time to do it. this is Keyshawn's plan. Keyshawn has sort of put this all together. Rome thinks that the plan is that they're all just going to vote Sol out. Yet again, this was a plan that Keyshawn and Rome had sort of put in the works earlier. What Rome had worked out with Keyshawn is that they would throw Genevieve out as a decoy vote, and that they would all just vote Sol out. Mm-hmm. And so those are the two plans happening, Sol and Rome. Well, Rome, thinking that everybody thinks that that's the plan, it goes up to Genevieve. And Rome says, yeah, I talked to Sol earlier and sort of threw threw your name out. That's sort of what Keyshawn and I came up with. And Genevieve goes, oh. Wait a minute. That's interesting. That's actually really, really interesting.
Why is this such a good Genevieve impression?
She was like, oh, okay, that's weird. I didn't think that's what we were sort of doing here. Genevieve is immediately caught off guard.
And immediately, Keyshawn's gonna go.
Immediately. And they have this fun little montage moment where Genevieve is sort of laying down and all of these things of Keyshawn are popping up in the background of Keyshawn stirring the pot, of Keyshawn starting these like all of these things. And she's like, oh my god, Keyshawn is the mastermind,
the kingpin,
the kingpin. We have to get rid of him. This was and I was gonna actually research what the vote was, because I can't exactly remember, but this was giving very Erica, I think it was Erica and Deshawn maybe, or Erica and I can't remember who went home, but Survivor 41, one of Erica's most famous moves was that her name was thrown out as the decoy vote, and she proceeded. Maybe it was Danny. I think it was the episode Danny went home. I can't 100% remember. Or Chan. I'm just naming everybody at this point.
Yes, name another one.
Yeah. Tiffany. Oh my god. Erica in 41 didn't want to be the decoy vote, so she flipped the vote basically. So she wasn't the. I actually am saying this out loud. I do think it was Shan that ends up going home because of this, in 41. And so this reminded me, as this sort of was happening, I was like, oh my god, this is giving very Erica winner energy. This was Erica's basically big move in 41, and Genevieve is doing it now in the pre-merge. Genevieve is like, we have to get rid of Keyshawn. He is controlling everything, and I'm not going to be the decoy vote. Like, I'm not getting a vote thrown out for no reason, and he didn't even talk to me about this before. Like, why? Like, that's a no-go for her. And she's sort of like, something shifts into plate tectonics, and her one brain cell activates. She was
saving it. That's why she didn't get those confessionals.
Exactly.
That's why she was quiet. She was saving it.
She was saving it until she had to do it. She went, don't poke the bear, and the bear was poked, and she got going.
You know what I also think is funny? That I don't think Rome has activated his one brain cell, because he sort of just does whatever the most recent person tells him to do. He is he's a yes man. He will do whatever you tell him to if he thinks that it's good for him. It's good for him.
I'm getting last episode they ended up voting Asia out, but at one point the vote flipped on Sol, and we get a confessional from Rome last episode. For the whole episode, he'd sort of been like, I want to get Asia out, and then they flipped it onto Sol, and he was like, oh my god, I've been wanting to get Sol out this whole time. I'm so glad we get to finally get Sol out. And we were all like, wait, what? That's what that's giving. It was a really interesting, and I have to give props to Genevieve.
He's a ride or die.
He is a ride or die.
Yeah.
And I have to give it, and I think this is the second time, because I do feel like there was a moment last episode where he said something that shifted things a little bit, and I don't think he realized how much he shifted things, and that very much happened this episode. By him telling Genevieve that her name was put out by Keyshawn, fully shifted the events of the afternoon. And I don't think he realized how, obviously he didn't, so he didn't realize how in danger he was, because he was actually the one that was going to go home.
Yeah.
Genevieve realizes, she has this moment of realization. She goes, no, It makes no sense for me to work with Keyshawn and Teeny. Rome has proven again and again that he trusts me.
Whatever I tell him to.
He will do whatever I say. He trusts me to do whatever. I'm not going to flip on him, even if he's sort of like an abrasive personality or somebody people don't get along with. Like, he has proven to be important for me, and it makes no sense for my game to get rid of Rome right now. And so she has this realization. And I have to give Genevieve props. I know she's my winner pick, but I'm like, this is a crazy thing to have pulled off.
Yeah.
Because Teeny probably got back like a couple hours, if that, before they left. And she pulled this off in that amount of time. I was like, this is fast. It was intense. And so like the last 15 minutes of this episode took a turn that I was not expecting.
No, same.
At all. Sorry. And so Genevieve sits Rome down, and they're sort of sitting together, and Genevieve goes, "You're the vote tonight. I need you to 100% believe me. Everybody's in on it except for you. You are going home."
Yeah.
And Rome's like, "Oh my God." Rome
and
says,
now he's
"Gag."
wrapped even more around her finger.
Yes, because he's like, "You're literally the only person on this island that I can trust right now."
Yeah.
And Genevieve is like, "We need to vote for Keyshawn because he's
a strategic mastermind.
He's a strategic mastermind. And he is the reason all of this is happening."
Yeah.
And Rome's like, "Got it. Okay." She goes up to Soul, and she's like, "Soul, I know you hate Rome. I know you absolutely despise Rome. But we need to vote together to get Keyshawn out, because Rome is not going home tonight. It's either like Rome steals your vote, and we have the numbers to send Keyshawn home, or like whatever, like you just need to vote with us if you want to work." And Genevieve was like, "I know you want to work with me, and I want to work with you too. I don't want you to go home here, and I don't want Rome to go home here. Like, we need each other. The three of us need each other. We need to vote together." And Soul's like, "I don't know if I can do it." And that's sort of like the note we're left on before Tribal is like, is Soul going to flip and vote with Genevieve and Rome and vote Keyshawn out?
Yeah.
So then we get kind of it's a low-key tense Tribal Council, because there's a lot of underlying things that are going on that people don't know about. Teeny and Keyshawn don't know that all of this has happened within the last, hour? We have Soul, who's trying to figure out what's best for his game. We have Genevieve, who is trying to make sure this plan works. And Rome is trying to hope that he's not the one that ends up going home. So there's a lot of like underlying things that are happening at this tribal. A lot of interesting moments. I think there's a moment here where I feel like Keyshawn is digging himself into a hole a little bit.
Yes.
Jeff asks him a question about playing with emotions, and Keyshawn says, "Don't play with your emotions. Like, we need to think strategically here and about this vote." And that sort of, we get a moment where it pans over to Soul, and I think it sort of clicks with Soul for a second, and he's like, "I'm playing emotionally." My assumption and what Soul's thinking would be that I'm playing emotionally, wanting to get Rome out here. It doesn't make sense for me to get Rome out here. I need to get a Kingpin out. We need to get Keyshawn out. Yeah. And that's sort of the vibe. It's like, it's going to happen. There's also really an interesting moment where Genevieve sort of starts laughing.
She's scary.
She is scary.
I'm scared of her.
She says that she starts laughing. She goes, "Ooh, so scary." She literally says that because I think Soul said something or something. And Jeff is like, "Is that how you laugh when you watch this show?" And Genevieve is like, "This is how I laugh when I'm watching Tribal, yeah." I'm like, this is crazy. She's weird. Like, she's like, this is weird. Not too much of my winner pick, though. So they gagged, and before Jeff tells them to read the votes, Rome gets up, and he chooses to steal Keyshawn's vote. Gag.
Oh my God.
Keyshawn and Teeny gagged. Soul gagged. The audience gagged.
Yeah.
Like, what is there to... Like, I was not expecting that at all.
What a power move.
What a power move. And now, oh my God, I bet you that 15 minutes between voting and reading the votes, Keyshawn's heart was... Throwing up. I literally would have been so...
His stomach is in his butt.
Literally.
Oh my God.
Literally. Rome steals Keyshawn's vote, and Teeny can't vote. So this ended up being very detrimental to Teeny's game tonight. The fact that she was left without a vote. Like, this happened to actually be possibly the second worst case scenario. Obviously, the worst would have been her voting out or getting voted out. But, like, this was literally, like, the worst way that she could have left this tribal. Not only is her number one ally leaving, but the other, she is now very much on the bottom of this tribe.
1000%.
Like, two of the worst things that could have happened for Teenie. Rome steals Keyshawn's vote, and it ends up being a clean 4-0 vote against Keyshawn. Rome uses Keyshawn's vote to vote Keyshawn out. Genevieve and Soul vote Keyshawn. And it's clean. 4-0. Keyshawn can't even save himself or play a shot in the dark.
No.
And
Nope.
And they got him.
They got him good.
And a great blindside.
It was great. I had so much fun watching it.
We had really amazing blindsides last season, but I would say this is one of my favorite of recent memory because it was sort of the reaction at Tribal. Keyshawn and Teenie realizing it right when Rome stole Keyshawn's vote was great, but then there was still an even better reaction post like we knew what was gonna happen, but they didn't know. Because they were still let out of the plan. But the audience at that point, we were like, "Oh, we know."
We know.
And then Keyshawn was still shocked when the votes were read. He looks at Genevieve and he says, "I thought this was, you know what?" As Taylor Swift has once said, "Karma is
your boyfriend."
Okay, maybe not Taylor Swift. Just the common phrase, karma is a B word. Karma is a B word because why? Keyshawn looks at Genevieve and says, "Genevieve, I trusted us three." And I said, "Baby, Asia could have said the same thing last." And in fact, I'm pretty sure she basically said the same thing last episode to you and Teenie.
Yeah.
It was like, "I trusted us as a three."
Yeah.
And y'all voted her ass out, and this was your karma, Keyshawn. Amazing.
You may
tribal.
save lives, but you couldn't save yourself.
Gagged him so bad. So bad. That's it. Keyshawn is voted out 4-0. Pre-jury. Who would have thought?
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember who our winner picks were for 40. Not for last season. Last season was Q and Tevin. I mean, the season before that, I feel like my winner pick went home pretty early, but I can't remember who our winner picks were.
Mine.
For season 45.
Who was?
Oh, mine was Austin. No. Mine.
What is his name? Who did I get you the cameo of?
Oh, Caleb.
Mine was Caleb.
Who was mine? Mine, I feel like it was it would have been before. Yeah, so because Caleb was the merge boot. So my person would have had to get voted out sort of pre-merge. Mm-hmm. Survivor 45 cast. Let me see.
Yeah, I don't remember at all.
Oh, mine was Sabaya. Oh, no, yours was Sabaya.
Oh, I had... Wait.
That can't be right. Did I have Caleb and you had Sabaya? Wait a minute. Y'all. Oh no, I had Katora. Wait, did my person make it further than you?
Wait.
Guys, we're going to do some research real quick.
Yeah.
I think I had Katora and you had Sabaya.
I don't think... I can definitely find this really quick. Wait, you have to talk. We have to fill this.
So that's sort of the one thing I am interested about is I don't usually watch the previews, but I was watching it because I was like doing other things, and there is sort of a moment where Jeff says that there's a new twist coming next episode, a new twist on Survivor, which is exciting. I'm interested to see what that is because I mean, how many like new things can we do? I'm excited to see what that looks like. I wonder if it's going to be sort of a twist on maybe a swap. I think would be interesting. But I'm not sure. Overall, I've liked this season. I thought it's really intriguing.
I have too.
And I am really excited to see more as we go more into the season. I think it's leading up to be good. I remember last season I wasn't too high on the pre-merge. I remember loving the post-merge of Survivor 46. But I remember a couple episodes into 46, I was left being like, oh, I this is not giving me what 45, because I think 45 was a better season overall, but season 46 I remember being like, oh, this pre-merge is not giving me what season 45 gave me, which is really heartbreaking. But I think I'm having similar feelings of Survivor 45 than I am 47, that I am really enjoying this this post-merge. I'm really, or not post-merge, pre-merge. I'm enjoying the pre-merge. And I'm excited to sort of see how it ends up. I can only talk for so much.
I know, I think you're really going. I am struggling to find it. I think Caleb was my winner pick. I just also had Sabiyah because we did like an actual draft.
Yeah, I went ahead. I just typed it in. Katora went ahead and was my winner pick. And Sabiyah, this was our drafts. I went ahead and did Katora, Brando, Austin was my top 3, and your top 3 was Sabiyah, Caleb, and Julie. So somewhere I got lost, that I think at some point we thought Caleb was mine, and maybe. So I guess our 1-2, it's 2-1 now. I'm officially a.
That's interesting. I don't.
Because we did a full draft for Survivor 45.
Yeah.
And remember, I was like, oh yeah, I'll just do a whole point system. And you're like,
what? That's right. But in the end, the person that won was on my draft.
Oh,
so
and that's how we ended up
decided
doing
it. We didn't do.
Yes.
I don't think we did a winner pick.
Yes, you're right. You were completely. Yes, you're right.
Okay.
And then I think maybe.
No, so we're 1-1 on winner picks. But
Yes.
I just won the first draft. Because
Yes.
we were going to do a whole draft thing.
And Maddie was like, are you sure you're going to be able to do that? And I went, yeah. And then I didn't do it at all.
And so then just whoever won, if they were on your team, you won.
Yeah. And D won. It was on your draft.
It was on my draft.
Yes, I'm remembering now.
Yeah. Okay. It's not you trying to rewrite history.
Well, I'm just kind of living in the moment of like, I'm so
You're just on a high.
I'm so sorry, but that is in fact the first thing I thought about when Keyshawn was voted. I was like, oh my god, next season I'll get the first pick.
No, I thought about that too. No.
Oh, I'm so
It's
excited. Okay. I'm gonna be honest. Do I think Genevieve is gonna? I don't know. This is a great episode for her.
Really good episode.
But I do feel like we might have some pre-merge burnout from Genevieve.
I'm wondering how this sort of would work in like a greater, like more people involved sort of thing.
Yes, like how is she gonna?
I think she was. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're good. Keep going.
I think she was really able to like capitalize on like this perfect storm of like no vote and sort of
luck,
being able.
You might say
I
luck
would say
that Rome
luck.
has had a lot of.
I would say maybe it's just part of being on Luck's team, Rome's team. You got that luck on your side. But no, I will be rooting for Genevieve because she's kind of iconic.
It was a great episode for her,
and she's scary. I'm scared of her.
Well, thank you all for watching.
Thank you
This
so
was
much.
yet another amazing episode of the Making Fire podcast. If you liked this episode, please make sure to subscribe. We're on the road to 20.
Right?
On the road to 20. We're at 13.
And next episode is episode 50.
So true. And we might have a special guest.
We might have a special guest, and that special guest doesn't even know it yet.
No, she doesn't.
But they will when she watches this.
Yeah, if you like this episode, make sure to subscribe. We'll do a special shout out to our 20th subscriber.
So comment below.
Comment below if when you subscribe it goes
20.
to 20. Yeah, because I honestly don't know if there's a way to sort of see who our 20th subscriber is.
We can't see who our subscribers.
We might just go through the subscriber list and just shout everybody out.
Well, I don't think we can see that.
Oh. Okay, so just comment if you're like the 20th subscriber. I'm gonna give you a shout out. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube. If you want more content, follow us on our TikTok, Instagram, and our Twitter account.
Or don't follow us on Twitter. At this point,
I don't think what has been posted on Twitter.
I used to post the links to the episodes, but we sort of don't have, I don't think, any real followers on there. Because I actually hate, you know what? Can we actually end it with Twitter?
Oh, wow.
Well, I don't post on there. We'll keep the handle, but I hate Twitter.
Follow us there. Maybe something will happen. Maybe we'll overthrow Elon Musk. We'll see. Follow us on all of those platforms at Making Fire Pod to get more fun content. And with that, we'll see you next week, y'all, for our episode 50.
That's crazy.
That's almost our year anniversary.
No, we're past that.
How long is a year?
365.
No, I meant weeks.
52.
So technically it hasn't. Well, technically it has been a year of us posting, but we'll have like a weekly year
in episodes.
Yes. So it'll be so exciting. We'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
I can't wait to see how this turns out.
See ya.